I'm honored to welcome James Aspey, an Australian vegan activist who, just this month, fulfilled his 365-day, one-year vow of silence to be a voice for animals and promote peace over violence. His campaign is called Voiceless 365. Welcome, James, and thank you for joining us on Vegan Nation. And you're the one who's been completely silent for one whole year. So let me turn this over to you and tell us your message.
Okay, well, thank you, first of all. My message, well, the reason I took the vow of silence was to raise awareness for the voiceless victims of this planet. I wanted to, show that animals, although they're voiceless, they still need to be heard. And so through my blog and my campaign, Voiceless 365, I was illustrating all the ways in which humans exploit animals and promoting a peaceful way of life, which is veganism, free from the exploitation and the cruelty and the harm to others. Travelled around Australia, just coming in contact with people, spreading the message. So that's pretty much what I did last year. Since then, I've been using my voice. That was kind of the plan as well. I wanted to do something that was a bit out there, a bit shocking, so that people would take notice. The first time I spoke was on primetime television in Australia. I said about why I did this and just explained to everyone how I think it's so inconsistent in our beliefs that we say we love animals and we're against animal cruelty, but at the same time we're paying people to mutilate, torture and slaughter animals every time we are purchasing animal products. Since then, I've got a very big feedback from people all over the world, people who are interested in going vegan, people who are already vegan and inspired to do more. Like next for me on my journey is doing talks and going around to places and just telling my story, how I came to this point in my life, because before I was completely different. I had no care for animals at all. I ate meat, cheese, milk and eggs all day, every day, like every meal. And yeah, so it's been quite a journey for me, and that's kind of what I'm up to now.
So your vow of silence was from January 1st, 2014 to January 1st, 2015. Is that correct?
Correct.
I think that your activism is effective. It does seem that 2015 really is the year of the vegan, for the vegan revolution to occur worldwide, which is not just about animals, as you know. It creates peace amongst people, amongst nations, amongst women and men. It is a boomerang effect. All our actions towards others and our actions collective as humanity boomerangs back to us. So as we extend that peace and that harmlessness and the respect to animals, we will also see that reflected back in human societies. So the universal systems of oppression and exploitation and violence that has been occurring century after century will be greatly reduced. From your website, I saw that you have that consciousness.
I 100% agree with what you said. The way that I see it is there's so much violence on this planet. Like, even if we just specifically talk about the non-human animals, there's 150 billion animals being tortured and slaughtered unnecessarily every single year. So right now on this planet, with this huge amount of unnecessary killing and violence happening, it's putting out a vibe, whether we're conscious of it or not. And I think the way for us to progress to a more peaceful world is, first of all, we have to create peace inside of ourselves. It's not about asking someone else, make world peace for us, do something about world peace. It's got to start with the individual. Just like Gandhi said, be the change you wish to see in the world. So we have to generate peace inside of ourselves. And by going vegan, that is creating peace inside of yourself. There's no more conflict about loving some animals but killing others, about being against violence over here but completely condoning violence over here towards animals. So it creates a consistency, and it does create a peace that levels out that conflict that we have, whether we're conscious of it or not. And the more people that go vegan and that can generate this peace inside of us, once it's inside of us, we can put it out to the world. We can spread that. And the more people that do that, the less violence that is being demanded by us, and the more peace we increase. So I agree exactly what you said. I think the exact same thing, and I've noticed it in my life ever since I've gone vegan, there's far more peace, and I feel so much better, and I think I do radiate that out more to the world, 100%. So I feel like veganism is so incredibly important, not just for us, not just for animals, but just for the whole planet. I feel like a step forward in our evolution towards what we all want, which is more peace.
Yes, I'm glad that you mentioned that about the species of animals, that our goal with veganism is to get away from discrimination, entitlement, privilege, from elitism. And so by giving protection and rights to some species but not the others, creates that boomerang again in societies where we have races and nations and religions that are all fighting with each other. And it is stemming from the root cause is our violent actions towards animals. It is horrendous. It's unimaginable, the pain and suffering to billions and trillions of animals. And it is sad to see a large percentage of the global population having an attitude of indifference and disregard and disinterest. But with your work, it is helping to change that. And what is necessary is exposure and education. Here in the United States, the facts and the truth of animal agriculture on every level is kept out of the education. It's not included in the classroom. It's not in conversation. It's not in the media. It's not in music. It's not in the sermon. And so that's a big problem because we don't have the education available to students or to citizens. What is it like in Australia?
Well, I think it's very similar. Like I said, for me, I never cared about animals. I'm 28 now, and I didn't care about them until a couple of years ago, or not much longer than a couple of years ago, because I'd never given it any thought. No one had ever brought the conversation up with me. It had never been addressed in my life as to what we do to animals and why that's such an important issue. You don't hear about it anywhere really, and I think that's the nature of the industry. Like, if you think about it, you're probably going to end up coming to a point where you disagree with it, because it is so far from most people's, what they accept as being okay. Like, if they really know the truth of what happened to these animals, even on the best farms, they're still getting slaughtered as infants. Killing's always wrong. There's this whole humane slaughter. Definition of humane is compassion, and it's just ridiculous to believe that you can take someone's life who wants to live compassionately. But these are all the things that the industry and media, and that's all you kind of hear about. It 100% comes with education and with people who are privileged enough to have come across the information, understood it, done the necessary step, which is to go vegan, and then gone one step further and spread that message. I think once you understand, I think Einstein said something like, those who are privileged to know have the duty to act. And that's how I felt. Wow, I understand something that 2 weeks ago I had no clue about. And this is huge, and everyone is involved, and no one is thinking about it. And most people are going to be against this if they learn the truth. So I felt like it was my duty to do something about that and to spread the awareness. And that's kind of how Voice of the 365 came about.
It is obvious to me that it's an evolutionary process, and that the old paradigm of killing and eating animals is now obsolete. And so the new paradigm with this new millennium is that we as humans can eat plants. And I've noticed from your work that you are heartfelt and compassionate towards other people in understanding that it is indoctrination. So when it's challenging for us as vegans, when we see the suffering and we see all our family and friends and the whole society participating in the violence, whether they're conscious of it or not, it is a challenge, yet we need to stay compassionate because we understand it's because of habit and tradition and addiction and indoctrination, yet it's very important that we keep speaking out. And again, I honor you for taking a vow of silence for then to be the voice for peace and for harmony.
Thank you. I agree again with what you said. I didn't always have this approach that I have now because I didn't know the right approach before. I was, okay, I know this thing. I need to tell everyone, and I want people to change because I think they're going to want to change. And I got to a point where I'm at now where I realized that people, they really, just like I didn't, they don't know what they're doing. They don't get it. It's so obvious now to anyone who's looked into it how wrong it is and how conflicting it is for people who are generally good people and who wouldn't want to hurt anyone, how conflicting it is to be purchasing meat, cheese, milk and eggs, which causes horrific pain and suffering and death. And now that I realise that people just don't know it yet, they don't grasp the concept, they haven't looked into it, I feel like I can come from a much better place where by understanding them that they're not there yet, just like I wasn't, and just like pretty much every vegan wasn't at one time, and by coming from a place of love and just trying to educate without the judgment, by far I think the best way is just to come from a place of understanding. The Bible quote is, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do." So that's kind of what I think about now. They know not what they do. Don't blame anyone. It's not their fault because they've been indoctrinated and conditioned just like I was and just like everyone else was before they woke up. So just be the kind of vegan that you would have wanted to meet before you understood this, and just come from a good place with them. And you might not be able to have one conversation and they go vegan out of it, but keep the communication open for the next conversation, and don't burn your bridges, and just do what you can, and people will learn in their own time, and you can't force that and you can't push anyone into it. So just do your best at, learning the facts, be a good advocate, be a positive example, and just speak up, keep speaking up.
Yes, I'd like to say thank you for joining us on Vegan Nation. I look forward to connecting with you again so that we can find out more of what's happening with the vegan revolution in Australia. And are there any other last words that you'd like to share for this interview today?
It's been a pleasure to talk to you, Marlene, and thanks so much for the interview. Well, first of all, if you'd like to follow my journey, you can go to voiceless365.com, which is my website. You can email me on voiceless365@hotmail.com. or check out my Facebook page, Voiceless365. And apart from that, last words, just to do your best to be a positive, shining example to others, and stay positive, because I feel very confident that change is happening, and I don't know what it's like over there, but I can definitely see it here, and I've had such a huge positive experience especially the last couple of weeks. So I just feel like a lot of big things are happening, and get excited about it, be a voice, keep on it, and that's about it.
Thank you, James, for your words of wisdom.
Marlene, it'll be a pleasure to talk to you again, Marlene. I look forward to it.
I'd like to thank our listeners for tuning in to WCUW 91.3 FM and streaming online at WCUW.org. I'd also like to give a special shout out to my guests Alfie Westgroves and James Aspey.